previously.
And you are obviously an icon in hairdressing world and and beyond, who are now who have been reborn, if you like.
Yes.
We're talking about Take That Home.
Yes.
And
I remember giving to many times money so they can buy sandwich because Nigel was so tight, he wouldn't give them nothing. It was very strict for me up. In fact, Gemma in the reception, do you know that Gary Barlow wrote a book and you're in it? Beginning, I can't write and have a bad memory in the front of the book. He who gave Nigel the contact with the producer to make the record deal. And I do buy the records, by the way. I love the music.
So Pierre, you mentioned about David Bowie, but I mean, you've worked with so many famous people, and many have stood the test of time just the same as you.
Yes. One of my very good friend and client in the salon was Lulu, for example. I saw her on television a few weeks ago and she looked stunning. I'm not going to say anything about what she's done, but I don't know. But she looked amazing. I was quite surprised because she was never really the beauty, but she's actually a very attractive woman. Lulu came to Manchester from Glasgow. I had a partnership in a shirt business. I invented shirts with cut-off collars, for example. And the partner was Tony Gordon. And Tony Gordon had the disco called The Photograph. And the photograph was in this salon. This was the disco. And that's where Georgie Best and everything. We still got the dancing floor, part of the dancing floor in one of the rooms. And Lulu had to go to London because she grew, her record became well known. It was Tony Gordon's sister who then started managing Lulu, called Marion Massey. Lulu came up to Manchester and did a show in the Golden Garter. We sat in the champagne bar in the Midland Hotel, and she's telling me how upset she is with Morris and getting drunk and all that sort of stuff. Of course, Lulu, Morris and myself, which Morris Gibb from the Bee Gees, were all friends. And I sent her to Leonard's in London, to the salon in Grosvenor Street in London, off Grosvenor Square, who was the London, he's the one who discovered Twiggy in the 60s. And a friend of mine called Clifford Stafford worked there, and I sent her to Clifford Stafford at Leonard's. However, she didn't like Clifford, but she fancied his junior, who was called John. And at that time it was extremely strict that juniors cannot do hair under no circumstances without having finished the training, which was very strict exams and so on. However, she said if she doesn't have him, she's going to leave Leonard, and I didn't want that because they were friends and we worked together. So I phoned Leonard and I talked to him and says, look, can you make an exception? John nearly finished his apprenticeship and that's what Lulu wants. So he let her do her hair. Cut the story short, John and Clifford were friends. They left Leonard's, opened John Frieda and the Clifford Stafford salon. Lulu got married, Clifford got married to a baroness, and John got married to Lulu. After a few weeks or a few years, whatever, a few months, I don't know, I was out of it, they split up. John Frieda and Clifford Stafford. And John Frieda opened his own salon. In 1988, by that time I was the world's artistic director for Zotos in America. I worked in America mostly. And I was asked to organize a venue, the World Congress in Milan, and I was living in London at that time, the salon in London, and the salon here in Manchester, to find some hairdressers in London who are up-and-coming hairdressers, and I invited John Frieda. And later on, I also owned a studio called a photographic and film studio in London called Studio 17, which in the 80s was the place to be photographed, where every famous person in the world, including royalties, were photographed and filmed. Most of the videos were filmed there. It was a massive, big Mayfair building, which was waiting to be redeveloped, and I got it free of rent, looking after to keep the squatters out. John Frieda came to the studio to do photographs. He had now the John Frieda salon, I introduced him to my sponsor, who is the owner of Zotos. He's also the owner of Grosvenor in New York, still is. And I introduced him to his assistant called Louis. The next thing I hear, he left Lulu and married Louis. So I introduced indirectly 2 wives to John Frieda. And I don't think neither of them actually realized this. It's just quite fun. There was a time in the 60s and early 70s where we had backwashers in the salon, which was on St. Anne's Square, corner Deansgate, on the 2nd floor of Dewsbury Wilson fashion shop. We had Lulu sitting here, Anna Blackburn sitting here, Peter Noon from the Hermits and Hernies sitting here, all famous people sitting there. Eartha Kitt came in, we had the beauty salon with baths and everything. She used to wash her chihuahuas in our bath. Her little daughter Kitten had to sit quietly on the chair. Hilda Baker was something underneath a dryer with the legs open, really doing her gimmicks onto the dryer. It was a scene you could make a film of. It was amazing. It was, but I didn't realize it. It was just normal. When I came to England the first time, and I was in Macclesfield working for a company, I had an agent coming into the salon with the, oh God, what is her name? Alma Coken and another one, very famous stars at the time, and I did the hair. And from then onwards, I started all the stars coming to us. It just happened. I never looked for it, it just happened.